Preventive maintenance, preventative maintenance, no, never call it that anymore. I am officially deeming those two words as horrible things to say in our industry. Preventive maintenance is run inside the apartment, change an air filter, check for water leak, check smoke detector, get out as quick as you can, move on to the next unit. Instead, I like to think and call it scheduled maintenance. Scheduled maintenance are routine visits to apartments that we do that help us to increase the efficiency of our equipment and extend its life, therefore providing a better asset to our owners.
The key word in all that, whether it's scheduled or preventative, is maintenance, right? Because to the core of maintenance, the easiest meaning of maintenance is what? To maintain. And I think in our industry, we've gotten away from that.
How many of you tell me that you don't go to YouTube and figure out how to fix your car? How many of you haven't downloaded Candy Crush and learned how to play it? Like, you know how to use it. So now let's get past the fact that you tell me you don't know how to use it. Let's talk about how you can use it and why it's going to help you in your day-to-day operation.
Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you back here, or glad to have you here for the first time. We have a few new guests here with us today. I do want to say, before anything else, we're trying to increase our reach. Part of the reason for that is that we could never find enough advocates for what we do in the industry. And one of the remarkable people that never been in our shoes in facilities, never done maintenance, but takes a genuine interest in what we do for a living is my friend, Tony Sousa. For those of you that might not know him, I will tell you that he's the most influential person in an industry. At least that's how I consider him for various reasons. And Tony, welcome to our group, sir.
AD, thanks, man. I'm not sure if I agree with all that you said, but very nice things that you did say. And hey, guys, what's going on? AD is right that I have never been in your shoes. I couldn't hold a flame to what you guys do. I commend your work. I have been in operations for 20 years. I started as a lease consultant, worked my way all the way up and through every single position on the office side specifically. But I have a great respect and appreciation for the work you guys do in the field. I have a great respect for the craft, and really excited to hear today's call. I may not be able to make the entire hour, but I'm really just a fly on the wall. So I didn't mean to be pointed out in the way, but AD, I know you're just being kind, but you guys do a lot, and I think you guys are truthfully some of the unsung heroes in our industry. And so I just want to let you guys know that we appreciate the work that you guys are doing. I think there's a lot of people that do on the office executive side, and appreciate all your guys' hard work, dedication to the craft, and nice to meet you guys.
Tony, for those that don't know you yet, would you like to share a little bit about your current position, your day job?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Vice President of Operations. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I work for RPM Living. Some of you may know, some of you may not know who RPM Living is. It's a large operator, third-party manager in the country, overseeing 200,000 plus units coast to coast. My particular role is a unique role. I got a call last year about this time, asked me to be the company's spokesperson for the company coast to coast. You're probably thinking, like, what is that even? What do you do? I didn't expect to be here. I didn't work to be here per se, but because of a growing community called influence, or whatever you may want to call it, online and in real life, RPM thought that I could play this role internally and externally. So that's what I do, guys. I work with our marketing teams, promotion teams, social teams, just to kind of get initiatives out into the public, get a positive attention for the company, shine the light on people that need light shined on them. I help do that through my channel and leaning into the RPM channel as well. So I've been friends with AD 3 or 4 years now, kind of post-pandemic, and we talk offline quite a bit, just about a lot of different things, industry trends, and specifically I pick his brain a lot in regards to maintenance trends, technologies, all those sorts of things, guys. So I have a great appreciation for what you guys do. I do a pretty unique job, not that you should care about. So I'm just really here to be a fly on the wall.
Well, welcome, Tony. I'm glad you're here. I'm sure everybody else does too. Scott, you're a first-time guest. Welcome to our group, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Tell us a little bit about, your current position, a little bit about your background. Just introduce yourself to the group, please.
Sure. Scott Peters. I'm with CAMT Management. We're not the biggest in the world, but we're probably about medium. We got about 460 properties nationwide, equating to about 60,000 units. I'm the vice president of property services, which is a department within the company, which we kind of oversee all of the capital work, renovations, maintenance portions out there for the company. So we dabble in a little bit of everything across the board as far as support for properties, support for regions, and just overall budgeting and things like that. I've been doing this. I've been in the industry about 30 years. I've been with ConAm about 28 of those 30. So it's been a long journey. I started here as a painter and worked up. So I've worked every level of maintenance, from painting all the way up. I have a painter, assistant maintenance supervisor, regional maintenance supervisor, regional maintenance director. And I was promoted nationally a few years ago to a senior director of property services. And then just this year was promoted to a VP of property services.
Well, congratulations to your newest promotion, and we're really glad that you're here, Scott, with us. I
appreciate it.
I think you're gonna find that this is a group of fine folks. Rodney.
Yeah, I'm Rodney Cobb. I'm currently with the APCO Group, who is a multifamily general contractor. I'm a senior project manager with those guys. I started in the business in '91 as a maintenance supervisor. Did that until 2000, and I started two companies. I had a construction company doing multifamily renovations, interior and exterior, and I had an environmental company that did mold remediation, crime scene cleanups, air quality testing, and consulting. And did that for 18 years. Went to work for one of my clients, 15 years, Ram Partners out of Atlanta, Georgia. I was their director of maintenance and construction. Worked with those guys for 5 years and left in 2023 to come to work for the APCO Group. So although I'm multifamily contractor side now, I still like to keep a pulse on what's going on in the facilities, because I always enjoyed the facility side of things. And I think I've been able to make one of these calls, always busy, but today I was on the road and popped up on my calendar and wanted to join to see what you guys had cooking today.
Well, glad you're able to join us today, Rodney. Chad.
Yes, my name is Chad Moulin. Adrian, thank you again for hosting this. Once again, I think we all have a little bit of a similar story. I've been in facilities for a little bit over 30 years now. I started when I was 18 as a groundskeeper. I moved my way up from there. I'm in Culver City, California, vice president of facilities for GK Management. And very similar, we handle everything from, we've kind of centralized maintenance here at GK as well over the last about year and a half-ish to 2 years. And so my department, we literally handle everything from picking up trash day to day to multi-million-dollar projects.
Well, welcome back, Chad. Another newcomer to our group, Kyle. Please, sir, welcome, and please introduce yourself to the group.
Yeah, hi, how you doing? My name is Kyle. I work for a company called Regency Multifamily. We're out of kind of just this Midwest. We're pretty small potatoes, I think, compared to a lot of you guys. About 4,500 units here in Indiana, Illinois, and Minnesota. I take care of I'm the director of project management and maintenance for our company. And I've, again, like a lot of you guys, kind of started as a leasing consultant back 20 years ago. I actually just kind of fell into it out of school and been in it ever since. And yeah, just trying to I kind of fell into this podcast / YouTube. Got a lot of good information from previous postings that you guys had made, Adrian, and hoping to get some more industry trends and get out of my little $4,500 unit bubble that I'm in. See what the big dogs are doing. So,
Well, we'll listen.
Thanks for having me.
The big dogs could always have things to learn from, from the smaller.
Sure.
Because there's so many particularities that I guess, we might tend to forget doing like large portfolios for many years or decades at times. There's so many things that, we might need to be reminded of that are happening in companies like your size that we could actually use and implement like in different regions of our portfolios. They don't have to be all like, the 50,000 units and
Sure.
everything. So you're more than welcome here. Don't feel bad about like not being with the big guys. You are big guys. You're the biggest guy in your neighborhood, right?
There you go. Yep. Yep.
So don't sell yourself short on that. Craig, you're up next, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Excuse me, Craig Bartholomew. 30 years in the maintenance industry. Switched during COVID to the vendor side, contractor side. Started a company doing consultation and consulting and training for service teams. Currently working full-time for Net Vendor Maintenance as their director of training and inspections. So I'm onboarding new clients to the company and take care of building and working with clients on inspections that they want to do on their properties and making those work for them. But always happy to be here and see what's going on and stay abreast of everything.
Well, welcome back. Mike Mulloy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mike Mulloy, the NRP Group, Vice President of Facilities. We're a multifamily developer, builder, and management company of 26,000 units, both luxury market rate and LIHTC affordable. So I've been, I join this call when I can. I think it's a great platform to connect with others in the industry. Thank you, Adrian, and just here to hopefully contribute. I think these types of platforms to connect with others are really important for our industry. So thank you.
Welcome back, Mike. Peter, you're up next, sir.
Thanks for having me, Adrian. Peter Christenson, work for Center Space Homes, basically out of the Midwest, and then as far west as Montana. We have about 13,000 units. Director of Maintenance Purchasing, been in for 7 years, new to my role in January, and recently had the opportunity to go on Adrian's podcast, which was a great experience, and I encourage everybody else to join as well.
Well, welcome back, Peter. Randy? I think you're muted, Randy.
Sorry about that. I think technology got me today. I'm Randy Overbay. I'm with Richmond Property Services. Been in the industry about 30 years. Want to say hi to Scott. It's been a little bit since I've seen him. Glad to be here, and hopefully I'll be able to contribute to the conversation today.
Well, welcome back, Randy. I know it's your second time with us. Juan, if you can hear us and if you're in a position to speak, introduce yourself to the group here. And if you're not, then we'll just go right past you. So if you're in a position to speak, just unmute yourself and introduce yourself. If not, that's totally fine. We're glad you're here with us. We understand that you might have other commitments, or you might be on another call at the same time. First topic, gentlemen. I want to talk about automation as tool for efficiency. What are some tasks that we're automating? We're seeing being automated in a process to help our teams, right? Running things more efficiently. So, what are some things that you're seeing? First of all, firsthand implementing within your company. What are some challenges that you're encountering in a process, and what are some opportunities. But before we go around the table, Juan, are you with us now? I saw you for a second. You want to introduce yourself to the group, sir?
Oh, who? Talking to me?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was having some Bluetooth issues, but hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Juan Lara Islas. I am a senior director, National Multifamily Facilities for Southern Land Company. Been in the industry for about 16 years, and been fortunate to be on one of Adrian's podcasts. Really, my first meeting here, and I've seen him, and I saw some time in my schedule that I had today, so I decided to it's important to come and join and really interact with the leaders of our field. So really excited to be here, and thank you, Adrian, for hosting these.
Absolutely. It's your first time here, so welcome to the group. This is a group of extraordinary gentlemen right here. I think that you will benefit greatly from being with us. Back to the first topic. Chad, would you like to kick this off? Automation, sir. What is that you're currently doing for automation? What are some challenges that you see in a process, and what are some opportunities that you see for your company and for the industry in general in automating tasks?
Well, from personal experience here, we are just somewhat even new to getting everybody onto mobile maintenance, right? So it's a little bit of automation, but we're currently getting ready to kick into a little bit of the next iteration of that, to where we're real page users. If it has 3 dots on it, my company buys it. Like that, they don't consider anything else, really. But what we've done is we've actually started our preventative maintenance programs. They're unique plans for each property, but we're putting them in a certain way to where everybody gets the information the same way, recurring service requests, recurring WTNs. And one of the things that we're doing with that is we're taking a lot of the preventative maintenance items that are done historically by vendors, and we're really grouping them together and getting essentially a preventative maintenance bid per property, to be able to kind of put those together, get some volume there, get some discounts. But then we're going into the other things like, boilers, elevators, everything that is more like a specialty type of item. And we're doing that the same way across the board. So that way we can put in the recurrings to where they pop up automatically. And it really helps with, as we're at the beginning of the centralization process, people can go cover other people's properties and get the information the same way, even though everybody's doing different things at different times. The way that they get the information is the same, so they can help carry on, even if they're recovering or they get a new position or whatever. And really, probably the biggest hurdle that we have, and we're continuing to have, is I had a lot of maintenance people who were they were not open to the tech side of things. I had a number of people that were computer bad, like they didn't even want to touch a tablet. They didn't clock themselves in and out. So we've had to really slow down and focus the training especially anytime we do anything that involves the iPads or their phones, doing anything on the app. We get some early adopters, and we're sure to spread it out from there. So that's probably the biggest thing on that is just getting everybody up to a certain level of tech comfortability to be able to move forward.
Before we go into the next person, gentlemen, I want you to look at the cameras. If you don't mind, I want to do a quick snapshot of the screen so I could post after this meeting. So bring the big smiles. Thank you so much. That was great. Going to Craig now. Craig, what are some things that you're seeing in regards to automation in our industry, and also
Gee golly, I'm glad you asked. I don't only do that for a living, but I do that for a living. I try not to make this a sales presentation, but you know, automation is where we're headed. The auto launching, or the repetitive tasks that you need to do, that you can create inside most of the software that's available today, including the software that I work for, generates those tasks that need to be completed without the employees needing to do it. So a lot of companies have written SOPs that tell them when they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to do. And if you don't ever read the piece of paper, you don't ever do what you're supposed to do. So when you can generate those tasks routinely, they show up where they're supposed to, and you do what you can go out and do what you're supposed to do. Then gathering the information and doing something with it's a whole nother story, right? How do you react to what's happened during that, whatever it might be, a routine inspection, an in-unit inspection. I'll sell this room real quick on my change in the industry. So if you ever hear this, I'm taking credit for it because I started it. But preventative maintenance, no, never call it that anymore. I am officially deeming those two words as horrible things to say in our industry. Preventive maintenance is run inside the apartment, change an air filter, check for a water leak, check smoke detector, get out as quick as you can, move on to the next unit. Instead, I like to think and call it scheduled maintenance. Scheduled maintenance are routine visits to apartments that we do that help us to increase the efficiency of our equipment and extend its life, therefore providing a better asset to our owners and potentially a better power bill to our residents, and therefore increasing our bottom line. So anyway, scheduled maintenance is what I call it, and I'll always refer to it as scheduled maintenance, even with my clients that I work with currently that insist on calling it preventive maintenance. I'll type whatever you want to, but I'll always say scheduled maintenance. The hurdles that you're running into are exactly what Chad talked about. And it's people that don't want to admit that they can use a digital device. Our current digitally native group of people that are working with us are younger generations that grew up right out of their pacifier was their iPhone. Those folks are pretty comfortable. Some of us that are a little older, that were around when the first flip phones came out. I had a Motorola brick phone back when Motorola came out with the brick phone, right? So that was a big deal back then. The thing that I found with change management, there's a couple of things, and one of those is allowing people to work through the stages of change management and go through that rejection stage and work into that stage where they begin to get comfortable with it is important. And sometimes a gentle nudge is necessary. I had a meeting with a large group of people in a city in Texas that was in the midst of panic over the rollout of some new digital stuff. And when I got in a room with that group of people and I held up my iPhone and I said, how many people in the room have one of these? 99% of the people in the room had one. There were a couple of flip phone guys still there, which was cool. They're all right. And we held their hands a little bit, but the rest of those people, the first comment I made to them was, how many of you tell me that you don't go to YouTube and figure out how to fix your car? And how many of you haven't downloaded, that's back in the Candy Crush days, right? How many of you haven't downloaded Candy Crush and learned how to play it? Like, you know how to use it. So now let's get past the fact that you tell me you don't know how to use it. Let's talk about how you can use it and why it's going to help you in your day-to-day operation. The other thing that you can do that will avoid the confusion of whether or not we need to do things digitally or whether we're going to do things the old way is get rid of the printers in the office. There's almost no reason to have a printer in an office anymore. And so if they can't print a work order, they can't carry it with them to do it and fill it out and bring it back and stick it back in some leasing consultant's hand to fill out and put back into Yardi or RealPage or whatever PMS you're using. Get rid of the printers. And you give them a phone, or you tell them the app, or you give them their stipend, or whatever you're going to do to encourage them to use that the app on a digital device. And you don't give them the opportunity to have it on paper. And then the other thing that needs to happen is senior leadership needs to take an active role in the use of the digital devices and in the hands of the maintenance teams. if senior leadership won't get involved and find ways to reward and talk to and incentivize their employees to go to switching to something new, then always the resistance is there. And one of the things that we found for the company, with the company that I work for, once we get past the change management piece of the rejection, right? I'm not doing this. And they start to poke around and sneak around inside to see what they can see. It takes a very short period of time for someone to say, wow, this actually does make my life not easier. And it's one of the things I always talk about in training. It's not easier. It's more efficient, right? We can't make a maintenance guy's job any easier by giving him an iPhone or an iPad to fill out a work order. It doesn't change the difficulty of the job that they're doing. It just gives them a different way to document it. But when leadership gets involved in realizing that the digitization of that and the photos and the things that are captured as a result of that reduces liability, then people get into adopting and using. Once they do that, then automation kicks in, right? The task is there for me to do. I just have the device. I go and I take care of it. The maintenance is done. The scheduled maintenance is done. The work orders are done. The inspections that need to be done during the day are done. All these things, depending on what app you're using and what system you're using, they're there for you to do. And then the data that's there is the usable information for leadership to be able to make decisions based on the information that you're gathering.
Yeah, that's great feedback out there, Craig. And I want to go a little bit more around the room to, before I share my thoughts on like the adoption rates and why we get the resistance from the maintenance personnel. Scott, what are your thoughts on the matter?
Oh, too many to talk about. But we don't have a automated system here at ConAm. We've dabbled in some of them, but understand we own and manage our own properties, and we fee manage. So when you're dealing with that, to get on board with some of these, sometimes you don't have the buy-in all the time from owners. So there's a cost that's associated with this that maybe they haven't paid in the past. And anytime you go to an owner with cost, there's hey, what's the red flag? What's the benefit to me? As Craig was saying, what's the benefit to our maintenance guy to have that device? It's not a benefit to them. It's a benefit to the company. So yeah, you have to have that buy-in as a company to do it. And you have to have buy-in from each ownership to pay for that benefit, which really benefits us in our record keeping and how we do things. So it's a little give and take there, right? There's a little push and pull there. The other part of it is the other hurdles of, we have an IT department, we have an HR department. I'd love to get on one of these right now today, but does it integrate with our systems? Is it easy for us to integrate with our systems that we're currently using? How much of a rollout does that put on our IT department? Then you talk about HR. We can't have somebody use their own personal device unless we supply them a device or we pay for their device. I mean, that's HR 101, right? If you're not paying for that person's device, they shouldn't be using it at work for work purposes. So there's a lot of that has to be taken into consideration for that. And that's kind of where we're at. We're evaluating all that and what's the benefits, what's the pluses and what's the minuses. I do like Craig's scheduled maintenance. I do appreciate that. I'm a big preventative maintenance guy, right? Like that is key is preventative maintenance to whatever we do. So you want to call it scheduled maintenance or preventative maintenance, it's all the same, right? The key word in all that, whether it's scheduled or preventative, is maintenance, right? Because to the core of maintenance, the easiest meaning of maintenance is what? To maintain. And I think in our industry, and I've seen this over the years, we've gotten away from that. We become fire drill. We become responsive. We're reactive, not preventive. Okay. And I've seen this through our industry, whether it's our company, other companies, we all swap maintenance guys out there. I don't care what company you work for. You've exchanged maintenance guys over the years. And I think we've seen, and I've seen some of your podcasts and some of the things that you guys have talked about in the past, is kind of how the maintenance tech, the maintenance techs out there today don't have the ability to fix things a lot, and they need a lot of training, and that training has fallen off. And I think maybe COVID was a big part of that, as far as that goes. But even before then, we're trailing into a new era with maintenance. And when we're trailing into this new era with maintenance, and some of us on this call, I've seen, everybody jump on here, and we're probably all in a similar age group, and we were maintenance guys, right? We did maintenance, and I think we see that getting away from that a little bit today, and everybody out there doesn't want to actually get out there and do the maintenance portion of it. But if you maintain, you don't have the problems that you see, today. And with the integration of some of the technology, we can throw it out there. But if they're not going to use it, then it's just the same as anything else you've done. So we're looking at it. We're probably going to be moving to something soon. But there are issues with that. And I think, it's probably the same thing for a lot of other companies out there as well.
Scott, out of curiosity, how many apartment homes you're managing totally?
About 60,000.
60,000? Yeah, that's a nice size portfolio. Rodney, any thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, actually, I've had quite a few different experiences with this, with multiple companies, and some handled it much better than others. The ones that seemed to handle it the best, they simplified the process. So let's say we were using Yardy maintenance. The way it was set up, we would do the bare minimum, the work order, you go in, sign out what you did, and close it out. Well, that worked flawlessly, and the buy-in was great. Had other companies that we used Yardy or Entrada, and there's a lot of bells and whistles to those things. So the ones that seem to not get on board with the program were the ones where they would set it up where you had 50 different things that you had to go through to close the work order out. So they were looking at it like more is better. The more data we can gather while we're in the apartment, the better. Well, the guys are trying to get in and get out to go to the next work order. So it was the buy-in was difficult, and the issue that was always a common issue was I could walk into a room and tell you which guys were on board and which ones weren't by the color of their hair. You walk in a room with all the gray hair guys, there would be some that were on board, but we didn't grow up with electronics that were more technical than others. The sticking point was always with the older guys. So we always try to find a workaround because I've had companies before that literally wanted me to hire all the older guys that didn't want to get on board with the technology. And, I'd have to explain to them that these guys are the ones with all the knowledge. We've got the young kids that they can zoom right through Yardy and Entrada, but they don't know how to fix anything. So you got to weigh that out, because the guys that can't fix things, they're going to be quick to pick up the phone to call a contractor, whereas the older guy that may not be as advanced with the technical end of it, he's the guy that can go out and fix anything. So I think there's got to be a happy medium, and it's got to be, because we're coming to a point where the older guy, somebody on where they retire, it's going to be lost. And I feel like that's what's happening. And we're getting to a point where we just have a lot in the industry.
I think We might be.
What's the point of
Rodney. I think your comment might be losing due to you driving. Like the signal might not be.
yeah?
Am I up?
Yeah.
Just to answer some of, like, I think I want to respond to some of those comments. Just to kind of share what our company does. I totally agree with the whole what the challenge presents when you are a fee managed company. It's obviously pretty difficult to implement and require these types of initiatives. We own 99% of our portfolio. So we have implemented mobile maintenance. So every maintenance supervisor has an iPad with a cellular plan. So our maintenance techs, to answer the question, to kind of respond to the comment of, if they have a device, we have to pay for it and so on. There is the software that we use has a functionality of basically downloading their tasks, or they could, open inspection, go out onto the property, so they can open it in the clubhouse or in the maintenance shop, which has Wi-Fi. They can go out in the field on the property and, complete that inspection or complete those work order tasks. And then when they come back to the office, there's a sync button and it will sync and update all of that. So they're essentially operating offline. So that is our way to kind of address the use your own device, not use your own data. And that's what we do for maintenance techs and make-ready techs. We are a Yardi company, so we use Yardi. Yardi Voyager, Yardi Maintenance, Yardi Marketplace for procurement. And then we use HappyCo, which is an inspection software that communicates with Yardi. So we basically pulled our maintenance teams out of Yardi and they use HappyCo. So it's very interface is very much like on an iPhone. And I agree, all of these associates have some sort of smartphone. So the user interface is pretty easy to get, and they really try and make it as easy to understand. So tasks of completing work orders or doing inspections is pretty easy to pick up, in my opinion. Now, I do agree that there's a lot who are unwilling or don't believe that's necessary, and I think that there's people who are like, I'm not going to do this, and eventually they will move on, and that's what's going to happen. And I think there's just going to need to be an adjustment at some point in this industry where everybody is going to move to that, and it may take a while. But I do believe there's a lot of benefits to it. And that's really like where I put my focus, is trying to tell the why and the benefits of technology. And just some examples that we use. We collect that data through those different software platforms, so Yardi and HappyCo. There's a number of different softwares that you can purchase that are basically like a KPI management dashboard, where all of that data feeds that KPI dashboard, and you can really drill down into the data. We've created our own KPI dashboard. So in doing that, we created a scorecard. We thought of all the different variables that play into that scorecard, and we changed our bonus structure that everybody is bonus based on this scorecard. So whether you're at a make-ready tech at the property, community manager, regional vice president, so on and so forth, your portfolio, your property or your portfolio all rolls up to a scorecard based on all of these different metrics. And in doing that, we created a calculator. So a maintenance guy can go in and manipulate that calculator and see these different tasks or these different things that he has to do or he is assigned. How will that impact his scorecard? And in doing this, we really gave them more opportunities to win. So that was kind of our approach. If you look at, thinking back on the previous bonus model, it was like based for an on-site maintenance guy, it was based on NOI at the property and maybe like a turnover bonus or something. And we've created all of these different categories. So if you don't make one, there's opportunities to win in others. And ultimately we gave them more ways to win. And if we're successful, we both win. So that's what we created, and they can see like, hey, if I turn this unit this week, like there's boom, this is what it does for my scorecard. Or if I wait and this goes 2 weeks late or whatever, boom, you can play with it and it will tell you how much you're going to make or how that impacts your bonus. So that I think it's going to be a long time to get everybody to buy into that, but I do believe that there's an opportunity to show what the value is and why. And ultimately, there's a lot of transparency. So it gives regionals and senior level associates the ability to see data across a whole portfolio relatively quickly and efficiently. So that's kind of what we're doing, and we're dealing with the same struggles. I mean, getting people to buy into it, and there's people who are going to resist it. But ultimately, we're under the expectation that eventually people will buy in, and so we'll see. I mean, we are seeing adoption improve year over year, month over month. So there you go.
Juan, I know that you had some thoughts. And gentlemen, for all of you, before I go to Juan, on the bottom of your screen, you have a empty heart out there, and click on that if you want to react, like raise hand. If you want to ask the person that currently speaks, if you want to ask him a question, we don't I want to make this as interactive as possible for all of us, and the goal is for all of us to get the best out of this. And Chad had a question right here. Mike, is gonna be just a minute, Juan, to get to you. Mike, Chad had a question. I'll be interested in learning more about that bonus structure. So if you want to elaborate on that some.
Yeah, I can, and I know Peter was on this call before. I owe Peter a call. He and I think we're supposed to connect after the last call. So we basically, the bonus, so we have what we call widgets. There's all of these different KPI widgets. So every property, and it's pulling these daily reports from Yardi. So based on a rent roll and available units and work order completion time and all of these different things that populate these widgets, and then the scoring from the different widgets rolls up into the scorecard. So a maintenance guy is really, I mean, they're all bonused off the same thing. So all of these different factors: rent, operating expenses to budget, service request completion time, unit turnover, vacant unit turnover time. We're working right now on building the inspection app, so their compliance with the different inspections. Gosh, there's a handful of them. But we as a group, as a management group or leadership group, got together, and everybody had their opportunity to say, like, this is what's really important to me, and I guess the different department heads, and we kind of hashed it out on how to weight those different KPIs. So like maintenance, obviously unit turnover time was really important to me. And then we looked at the different properties and property cycles. So a stabilized market rate property is weighted one way, where a lease up market rate property is weighted another, and then the same for an affordable project. And so it was a painstakingly long process. We basically hashed out how we weighted those. And I'd be happy to, at some point, I got to pull all that data together, but happy to kind of talk through how we did it. I certainly don't understand the technical side, but I do know what information we're pulling from Yardi to get that data.
Was the calculator done by HappyCo, or is that something you guys did internally?
That's what we did internally.
Okay, awesome. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and Mike, consider this an open invite. When you're ready to have this, discussed extensively, we could do like a short podcast I could get you, and we could put this on YouTube so the entire group has access to it beyond the 1 hour we meet every third week. And by the way, gentlemen, like, with all of you here, would you find it more beneficial if we do it every other week instead? We don't seem to get around to many topics, but I think that's also a great thing too, because I don't want to rush through and like just check the boxes. But I would love for you to share if you would find it more beneficial for us to do it every other week instead every third week. So I know that everybody's busy, but this way we could get more conversations more often. Just a thought. And then Juan, your turn, sir.
Definitely. So first and foremost, I think every other week would be great, right? I think gives a little bit more time to interact with everybody. Of course, this being my first time, but on this topic though, we're very, with my last company I was with the company that I'm in right now, we're very technology driven, and we went from paper work orders, make ready boards, the whole nine, to switching over to technology based, right? So and you have to do it in steps. So to the point where we're doing our preventative maintenance inspections, our weekly, quarterly, semi-annual, annual. All of our major mechanical inspections are done through our inspection app, and it's tailored to each community. Our work orders are done through. It was either one site with my previous company, with my new company, it's Yardi Mobile, or mobile maintenance. And we've also gone to where we expanded on the actual contracts, our reoccurring services, our janitorial, our mechanical PM. So all of that was included in that preventative maintenance app, to where you upload the contract and you give it a expiration date, and then 2 months before that contract expired, it basically popped up a task for you saying, hey, your janitorial contract is about to expire. Are we going to send it out to bid, or are you just going to renew it? So we were able to harness that. The adaptation process was slow, but I think we did it methodical. If you do it methodically, you're able to get a lot of the adaptation. A lot of the people that pushed back, which was the older teams, the service managers, some lead techs, you basically had to get their buy-in. And with how we're going and how property management is going to more of, trying to get as much as we can with the least amount of people, whether it's centralized maintenance, whether it's centralized, whatever the case may be, you have to show them how this is helping them out. And so we did that by, taking off their plate, remembering when they have to go and do a roof inspection, right? Whenever, the little painful things, or the day-to-day routine maintenance that sometimes gets overlooked and then becomes oh crap, we have this major problem. We have a leak in our roof, or whatever the case may be. So we sold it like that. And we rolled it out in phases. So with both of my companies that I've done this with, both from inception, we went with Leonardo, right? So Leonardo was our go-to. We were able to roll out just the weekly, monthly, quarterly, and semi-annual and annual inspections, and basically stay on the team. Get them used to logging on, getting them used to having our regional maintenance managers check in on their teams, following up with them. And then once they got used to it, we did the same thing as the previous gentleman spoke about, is we as a company restructured their quarterly property inspections and the KPI for the facilities. So we narrowed it down to 5 things, right? Which is budget, turn time, work order completions, the preventative maintenance Leonardo completions, and then you have your discretionary. And once you start, and it sounds bad, right? But once you start affecting people's wallets, they're going to adapt faster to it. But that has to be a buy-in from leadership, and really the proposals should come from the facility leaders, right? putting down the plan saying, hey, this is going to trigger this is going to trigger that. And eventually we will get to this, but we won't be able to get to the promised land until we complete these steps. So it took us about a year to get from introducing the program to fully functionable. But I can tell you guys this now, it's actually benefiting the entire company. The RPMs could log in to Leo and basically see what contracts are expiring, what's still valid. Asset management can log in. We're doing our unit and annual preventative maintenance inspections on our units through Leo. So if anybody asks for that record, we could just print them out. So basically everything has gone through there, and it's made it easier for our service managers because they don't have to remember all of those tasks, and they can be more resident facing, which is what what the goal is, to be more resident facing and taking care of our resident as opposed to, being stuck behind closed doors with a busy task.
Randy, do you have a couple of minutes before you jump off?
Yeah, I'll actually take just a few moments. A lot of the information that I've been listening to is really, really good. I do want to point out that especially for us older guys, sometimes it takes us a little more training. And one of my issues with the industry as a whole circles around the training aspect. A lot of times we want to create a cheat sheet for whatever program we're using, be it RealPage, Yardi Marketplace, or not Marketplace, but Yardi MIQ. We like to create a little cheat sheet and call that training. In my mind, training is repetitive. It is ongoing. The second part to the training, we have to be able to set up a support system for those guys when they have questions. So like for my company, we use Yardi MIQ for all of our work orders, our inspections, and we get reports back from the guys on site that they're having, I think the biggest one is actually connectivity issues. Now we pay for the use of the maintenance techs and supervisors, their cell phones. We paid them a stipend. So that's not an issue there. But what we have discovered is that depending upon where they're at, cell signals drop. So we've had to provide extra training on top of what Yardi has been able to provide for us. But there are times that the problems that we encounter even go above what we've been able to discover on our own, and even what Yardi's been able to discover. So we've set up with our internal help desk, people who their specialty is everything Yardi. They communicate with the folks who work at Yardi, and they work pretty diligently to find a solution to the more complex problems. But I did want to point out training is a big thing. It's been a learning curve for us. On my computer, I probably have 500 different cheat sheets on how to manipulate different programs. And even for me, I'm fairly computer literate. But even for me, I find that there are areas that pop up, problems that occur that are not necessarily covered under my little user guide. So just kind of want to throw that out there, but there's been some very, very informative conversation today. I've got a whole list of notes.
Thank you, Randy. I know that you gotta run. Kyle, any thoughts?
No, I mean, a lot of good information, just kind of soaking it in. I think, we've recently switched Appfolio. So speaking to a lot of the automation, recurring maintenance work orders, those have been kind of a game changer for us in terms of, to one of the other gentleman's point of, automating. They don't have to think about doing those roof inspections or whatever it may be. That's been a big game changer to us. We do use HappyCo now, trying to maybe bridge the gap between Appfolio and what HappyCo offers. I think it was Mike who was talking about some of the benefits and how they use HappyCo. So I'm really intrigued by telemaintenance as well. Maybe that's a whole other topic point, but like to learn more about that as well. But a lot of good points, and I appreciate the conversation.
Well, thank you for joining us once again. Hopefully, you'll be able to make time to join us continuously, become a regular member of our group. I know that we're almost up on time, gentlemen. A few of us already left. A few thoughts on my own. I will say that first of all, I think that part of the reason why we don't get those adoption rates immediately, or like we desire, we wish we were. It's the friction that's in a process, right? The products might come with a lot of friction in a process. The way the programs are rolled out. I'm not saying this is your situation. This is just what I've learned myself from being an end user, from seeing process being rolled out. So rolled out friction in a process that like a product that hasn't been built by the end user for the end user. It's been built by certain people that imagine how things should go, like as far as the workflows and everything. But when it comes down to the way they go in real life, that it's not like it's different. There's a difference in between that has to be mitigated, and typically it's through pain and a lot of users dropping out or not embracing the product. I would love for you, if you're very passionate about a topic, you don't have the opportunity to speak enough during our meeting, we could do a quick 10-15 minute podcast that we could chat about that, and we'll put it up on YouTube. There's not enough content about topics like this on the internet, and I encourage you to reach out. I always make time for any and all of you to be on a podcast, to do something shorter form when needed. I would love for us to be meeting every other week for 2 hours. I know that it's kind of wishful thinking. It's very hard for most of you to spare an hour every 3 weeks. So I do understand the challenges, but I'm also grateful that you made the time today. And for every week that we show up, there's 7, 8, 10, 12, 13 people showing up. And again, I want to keep this conversation going. I think it's taking us places. The agenda is gonna stay for next meeting, kind of open. We only touched briefly on automation, and then access control, security, procurement, and vendor management will be topics for upcoming conversations. I also want to keep it open for you to lead certain meetings, and you could pick your own topics to lead on. I'm totally open to this, and I want you to consider open invitation to lead those meetings. I don't this doesn't have to be Adrian's meeting. It's our meeting. And I like you to have the opportunity to contribute as much as you want. I know we're, past the top of the hour. I want to thank you all for being here. Great conversation. Let's keep those conversations going. I think I'm going to take a chance and make the next meeting 2 weeks from today to see how many of us could, gather 2 weeks from now instead 3 weeks. And maybe we could make it work every other week, since there's just so much for us to talk about all the time. This is not, I feel like we could go and have one a week, and it's still not, we're still scratching the surface barely. But thank you all again. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and see you all in 2 weeks. Let's see if we could make it 2 weeks from today. Take care.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Thanks, Adrian.